All right, Matthew. I've got a few minutes left before our home visit is over. I understand you wanted to talk about advanced directives. Can you start by telling me what you know about them?
Well, I know that advanced directives have been around for quite a long time. They're used for, like, setting someone up to speak for you in the event that you're unable to speak for yourself due to an illness or an injury. I know that they can help to set limitations on what kinds of treatments you do or do not want performed for whatever reason. I just don't know very much about the specifics of how all that works.
Okay, so it sounds like you've done some of your own research. Am I hearing you correctly?
I've looked into it.
So this is great. Vermont actually has two separate forms right now. They have the short form, which is an 8-page paper, and they have the long form, which is 24, that goes into more detail about everything. It doesn't matter which one you fill out when you choose to do it. You are correct. It's going to ask you for a few things, such as selecting a healthcare agent or agents. What that means is that in the event that you cannot speak for yourself, whether you have are in a car accident, have a disabling illness or something, who do you want to make those decisions for you? That's the first thing that you need to do and figure out, and you'll find that on the first pages of these forms. We'll go through the short one because there's less instructions, and I can certainly go over the longer one if you want. So right over here, as you get in here, it's going to start off with your name and address, who you would like as your agent, and an alternate agent. The way this works is they're going to try and contact the first agent first and your alternate agent second if an issue were to arise. Do you have any other questions or concerns about an agent?
I guess usually one would use a family member, relative, I would assume, so it seems pretty straightforward.
You can actually use anyone you want for an agent. We just suggest that you go over this form with them and make sure that they are in agreement that they will follow your wishes. There are some people that choose to use a family lawyer because they're afraid about the emotional attachment a family member may have. Other people want their family members because they feel like they'll make the best choice for them. So it doesn't have to be a family or relative, although most people do choose to go with a family or relative member.
Okay.
Next would be your primary care provider. They would have access to such things as your current medications if your agents didn't, any chronic illnesses and medication treatment plans you are on, they would know. That's why that's on there.
Makes sense.
The next section is who should not be consulted. This is the spot that you can put in if there's somebody that you do not want to make medical decisions for you.
Conflict of interest or that kind of thing.
Exactly. Sometimes people have an ex-wife or something who will show up, and that'll be somebody who they wouldn't want making medical decisions for them. Sometimes it's a brother, a sister, anyone who you basically feel like would not follow your wishes, you may or may not want to put on that list.
Okay.
The next part is part 2, which is your healthcare goals and spiritual wishes. And what that talks about is what do you want if you can't make decisions for you?
Okay.
And it goes through point by point, you want everything done possible to save your life. That's one option. The next option is you want some treatment, but not necessarily all treatment, such as you only want treatment if you'll be able to communicate with friends and family, because that's important to you. If you'll be able to care for yourself at the end of this illness or condition. We'll be able to live without incapacitating pain. Be conscientious and aware of your surroundings. So those are some things that they just give you as points to kind of think about, like what would be acceptable for you.
Okay.
And I only want treatment directed towards my comfort. So if these items don't apply to you, or if there are other things that you would want to be maintained, there's a section for additional comments. And if they're not met, You may choose to be the I only want to be kept comfortable. You absolutely don't have to check that box though. Next, it does talk about dying. If you have a preference, some people really want to go home. If they're, say, at the end of a terminal illness and they're not going to get better, or if it's been a sudden traumatic event, that's important to some people. Some people, they don't want to be at home. It gives you the option to state your preference. Spiritual care and wishes. There's a section on that.
Okay.
Do you need me to go through more detail on that?
Forgive me, a very long morning for me. This all makes sense. I like that you can kind of tailor things to your own personal wishes and beliefs, beyond just a standard form.
Well, that's the importance of this. This is for you. This is what you want. Next, they talk about limitations of treatment. This talks about things that you would or would not want. And the great thing is that you can put a time frame on all of them if you want. If you can't breathe on your own do you want a breathing tube put in?
Right.
If you can't eat for a while, do you want us to give you nutrition from another source? So if your heart stops, do you want us to do CPR? And if you're terminally ill and unlikely to get to better, do you want life-prolonging treatment? Some people do because there's still things they want to do. Some people reach a point that they don't. Any questions or anything on that?
I think it makes sense. Very specific, very understandable. Depends on your personal situation, I guess. Something that certainly might change, depending on long-term illnesses or that kind of thing. Something that you could update.
I'm glad you brought up change and update. Absolutely, these are yours. If your thoughts change, you can change these. You just replace it with a new version, and that becomes what it is. You want to let your agent know if your wishes have changed so that they know. We also suggest you give them any updated copies, because nothing you write down here today or tomorrow or the following day is set in stone. You can always change it whenever you want if circumstances in your life change. The next one talks about organ and tissue donation and burial. If you want to, you can put that down. If you don't, you don't have to.
Okay.
And some people, if they're at the end of their life, they don't want their loved ones to have to deal with the idea of a burial, so they choose to fill out all that information in here. Again, you can fill out as many parts or as few parts as you want. Some people only fill out the section that says, if I cannot make my own decisions, this is who I want to make them. Because that's the level they're at. That's what they're comfortable with, and they trust that person to make the best decisions based on what their providers are telling them. And then back here, signed in declaration, you'll see that you have to sign it, and then you'll see there's a spot for 2 witnesses, and I believe it's if signing document, current patient rides in a hospital, nursing home, an additional person designated by that would have to say that you are competent. That this section here does not apply to you. And basically the 2 witnesses can't be your agent.
Right.
They should not be a member of your direct family. And basically they're just saying that you filled this out willingly and of your own free will. That nobody was forcing you into doing this or any coercion was taking place.
Okay, very clear cut. Give a much better understanding of the specifics.
And then this is kind of for your record, for the hospital. It just gives a list of who has a copy of this document.
Okay.
So where it could be found. The Vermont Advanced Care Registry, you can now do it online as well. And then it gives easy access to your healthcare providers to be able to access it.
That's a great idea.
And generally we suggest the healthcare agent have a copy. And if you've listed an alternative agent, for them to have a copy as well. Other suggested spots might be your doctor's office, or if there's a hospital close to you where you would most likely receive care. And what they do is they just kind of put it into your file, it gets updated. If you update or change this, they take it out and they change the initial
Okay.
one, and the redone one becomes your current active one.
Okay. That will give me a lot to think about, a lot of great information here. I definitely think it is a good idea, and I will look through it and see what my feelings are on all the different sections and make the determination.
Alright, well, I'm glad I was able to help you with this. If you have any further questions on this, you have the contact information to the office. Don't be afraid to give us a call.
Thank you very much.